This is Blender. Let's make a low poly vehicle. I'm going to click on General. I like to hide the light and the camera, and here's my cube right here. So let's start with scaling it. The X can remain 1. Y we will want a 2 in there, and 0.7 for Z. And then let's move it up to the top quadrant, so 2 and a 1 to push it over some. So this is a chunk of the body of the car. Let's give it a wheel well, add mesh cylinder. Right? Now for this cylinder, we're only going to need 10 vertices. That will be plenty. And then we do need to rotate this 90 degrees onto its side. Okay? Let me kind of get it up over here. Make sure you're aware these are the numbers so you can always kind of tell where I am at number-wise. I'm going to shrink this down. That looks too small. Let me zoom in here. Go back to select mode, and let's take a look at the scale. 0.85 maybe. We need a bit bigger. Yeah, that's looking better. And then for Z, we're going to mush it in some for the wheel well. The location, we're close here. Let me see, straight on. We want it centered. Centering should be a 2. Yep, that looks right. And then a 1.6 maybe for Z. For X, yeah, that's enough space there. And 0.45 to push it down. Yep, that looks perfect. So now we're going to want to have a main color for our vehicle, actually. I'm going to click on the vehicle, and I was liking, or thinking, I guess, of a glossy color, and a color I've really been using a lot as of late, and I think it's a good car color. Of course, use whatever you want, is 214FC6 for the hex code here, and then maybe a 0.6 on roughness. And this is a glossy material. I'm going to call this main, okay? And I guess we can, boop, and let's apply it. You do want to apply it to the wheel well as well, because otherwise, well, you'll see. So now with those both applied, I'm going to click on the main body of the car. I'm going to add a modifier, and I'm going to add a Boolean. And the Boolean modifier right here, what it's looking for is intersections, well, a difference. It's a true-false modifier. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the cylinder here, and I'm going to hit apply. It's going to check for wherever they intersect, and where they do, well, you'll see, it's removing that space. Okay. Let me edit undo, because we're actually now going to use this as the wheel of our vehicle. So let's go ahead and head back to, well, let's first give it its own color so we can identify it, tire. And then base color, we just want something dark. Maybe 26, 26, 26. 0.0, 0.2 for this. Roughness, we're gonna say 0.4 maybe. And then let's go ahead and I'm just gonna go into edit mode, select all, sign it that, back into object mode. We can delete main. All right, now for the tire, let's start changing up the size. It's going to be very similar, but a bit smaller. I'm going to do, let's see, 0.77 maybe. Roughly 10% smaller is what I'm thinking. That's where 0.77 is coming from. And maybe at 0.37 here. Take a look from the top. We do want it to stick out just a bit. Right? So let's see, location-wise. Let's just make these easy to see. There we go, there we go, there we go. And let's look from the front, and that's perfect. And it's sticking out just a bit, which is exactly what we are wanting. All right, let's go into edit mode now. In edit mode, you want to go face mode and click on this front face. And we will be doing face inset, and I'm going to push in. That's way too much. Let's do 0.25. Yep, that's perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and extrude the region. I'm going to push back. Negative 0.1 is sufficient. Let's create a material now for our hubcap. So I'm headed to materials, new. I'm just going to call it hub. And let's make a shiny material. So for that, I'm going to use a mix shader. And what's going to be involved in my mix shader is going to be a diffuse and then glossy. Now, the roughness here, it's going to be 0.2 for the diffuse. A silver that I really like is 90, 90, 90. And then for glossy, the roughness will be 0. Glossy, the roughness will be 0. I'm switching this to sharp, and the color again will be 90, 90, 90. Enter. And that is looking good. Let's make sure to assign it. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit face inset again to create the hub cap, I guess. 0.4 is awesome. And let me pull this out. Let's do 0.5. Oops, 0.05 maybe. There we are. And let me go to select. I'm now going to select every other one. I'm holding shift so I can select these faces. And I'm going to go now and do mesh and delete faces. And now we have a hubcap. I'm also going to delete the back of the tire. Mesh, delete, face. Perfect. Let's head back into object mode. Let's head back into object mode. I'm going to go ahead and click on the tire first and then the vehicle, because we're going to have them joined, object join. Now with them joined, we're going to set up a mirror to create the other parts of the car. I'm going to notice my 3D cursor is right here. I'm going to set origin to 3D cursor. With that in place, I can now use a modifier, a mirror modifier. Here, boom. That's X, that's Y, and we have a bunch of a car suddenly. Let's now head into edit mode. I'm going to use edge select and just select this edge here and this one. Let's go ahead now and do edge subdivide. Perfect. And now let's make the roof. I need to go into face select. Make sure clipping is on in your mirror modifier. And then I'm going to select this face and then I'm going to go ahead and extrude. 1.6 is perfect for this type of animation. And now let's go ahead and scale it. I'm going to scale it way down to 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. Gives it a really fun look, whimsical. All right, that is awesome. Let's go ahead now and work on the headlights and license plate. To do that, I'm in face select still. I'm clicking on this front face. And then I'm going to go edge and subdivide. And perfect. Two subdivisions is what we need. And now let's select these bottom three for the bumper. I'm going to do mesh, duplicate, and click immediately. So it is there, we just can't see it yet. I'm now going to move it down. Yeah, -0.2 is awesome. And then also, I'm going to pull it out a bit. And 0.1 is great for that. Okay, let's go work on our hubcap now. So I'm our hubcap. Speaking of which, let's give this its color, and it's going to have that shiny color that the hubcap does. All right, now let's work on our headlight. So let me select these two now. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing, mesh, duplicate, and click right away. I'm now going to move them over a bit. And 0.1, just like the bumper, is good. Okay, I'm going to now mush this down some. Yeah, 0.9 should be great. And then actually do it this way as well. .7 I did, and now I'm going to need to move this back out. 0.2 back out. Okay. I'm going to push it down a bit more, and we're good on the headlight. -0.05. That is perfect. So let's go ahead and give this a color too. And new, I'm going to just call this yellow because it will be, well, shockingly yellow. It's going to be an emission color. which, well, emits light. I was liking for a headlight, let's see, FFF777. And let's assign that. Okay, and now let's work on a license plate. So for this, I'm just gonna do a mesh and duplicate again, click down right away. I'm gonna resize it for the plate. So yeah, that's fine, 0.7. Now let's do a European style one, 0.6 is great. And then resize it inward. 0.8 is great. Oops, 0.8. Alright, perfect. And then the license plate, I'm just going to give it an off-white color. Boom. And now we have our plate. Okay, so let's go ahead and start working on extruding these. Actually, let's take front view again. I'm going to select, I'm holding shift, this face, and our bumper. Okay, I'm going to hit X, and now I'm going to go to extrude, and oops, I unclicked, undo, extrude, and then extrude along normals. I'm going to click and pull. And for this, 0.2, let's do 0.15. Nope, 0.2 it is. Okay. And now we want to do select, and we want select more, because now we're going to move all of these forward. And I'm going to move them forward 0.12. I'm going to move them forward 0.1. Great. Now for our license plate, we should extrude it as well, just not as much. So let me go into select mode, grab just the plate, and then I'm going to go ahead and extrude it. There we are, but negative 0.04 maybe, negative 0.02. Just have it stick out a bit for a plate. Perfect. All right. Now let's work on the door handle and the rear view mirrors. So object mode. For the door handle, I'm going to do add mesh cube. Pull this guy out. It's going to be huge. And that is fine. I'm going to shrink it way down, obviously. It will be a door handle. So I'm not too worried about location right now, but scale-wise, I'm thinking 0.2 will be just fine. 0.2 and 0.06 should be good. Okay, and then location, well, we need it up at the car over. Let's see, 1.81, I'm thinking 0.5 and 0.47. And actually, before I do the X, let me go back into edit mode. And in edit mode, I'm going to be in face select. I'm going to click on this face, and I'm going to scale it super far down. So 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Great. And head back into object mode. And 1.81 is looking awesome. Okay, so now we have a door handle. Let's make sure I want it shiny also. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it that hub color. Now I'm going to do an object, duplicate objects, and I'm going to pull it over here. This is going to turn into our mirror. Okay, let me take a look at I can even call it mirror if I want. All right, let's take a look at our numbers here. For the mirror, that's going to be fine. We're definitely going to want this way small because this is going to be the support structure. So 0.02, 0.025 for both of those. I'm going to want to move this up towards the edge here. Let's see, yeah, 1.85 and then 1.9 just to make that even. And 0.66, let's take a look. That is looking good. Yeah, perfect. All right. So now what we're going to do is head into edit mode. And again, this is just the base of our mirror. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to go ahead and extrude. So clicking on extrude and just pulling, and I'm still extrude on normals, and I'm going to extrude this out -0.0. -0.3 is what I was hoping for there. And yep, that looks awesome. And let's actually switch this up to extrude region. Let me pull that up to, yep, 0.03. That is awesome. And then I'm actually going to increase the size of this guy. So the scale increase, I'm thinking actually a full 3 maybe. Let's make sure that's close for comfort. And yeah, let's do a 2 times increase. So now let's go ahead and grab this. Grab this right here. We're going to extrude. And maybe 0.25 for the size of the vehicle. We will want it somewhat large. And then let me click on this side. And again, it's going to be an extrusion and a 0.25. Perfect. And now let's go ahead and head back into object mode. We want to object apply the scale of this because we're about to inset the mirror portion. So now with the scale applied, I can click on, let me first select both faces and then just face inset. I'm going to push in. Okay, make sure if you're having issues, you might need to turn boundary on or off. 0.02 was what I was thinking, which is great. And then let's go ahead and use extrude again and push in on this. And -0.02 is awesome. Let's create kind of a window or a glassy color. I'm going to plus new. I'm just going to call this window. And then for my window, let's see. I was thinking a color 555 C66. And you would want this. Yeah, let's do 0.2. Roughness 0.4. And let's hit assign. And then let's go back into object mode. Let's take a look. This is awesome. Let's go ahead, take a look at my hub here. So this is pretty shiny. It's up to you, but I'm going to turn this down maybe a 0.2 to make it more, to make it match the outside a bit more, the rest of the vehicle. This is great. So these next few steps, we're going to be making a car out of it, but this is also where you could take it and go make a truck and things of that nature. You should definitely check out some of my other tutorials if you're interested in that. With that being said, let's actually add some detailing to our lights here. Half of the light, right? Let's make it actually an emergency light. Let me see if, yeah, we can loop cut. I'm going to loop cut it here, and then I'm going to use face. And I'm just going to select all of this. And then I'm going to go down here. And now I'm just going to add an orange color. Plus, new, orange. And then I want this to be an emission color. The orange I was liking is FFBF44. Alright, and let's assign that. Awesome. That's fun. Alright. Now, heading back into object mode. This is looking awesome. All right, we have a great looking car, a great looking vehicle as a base. Now, let's get going on our box truck. For a more industrial look, I love this blue, but we should do a bit more of a boring color. I was kind of looking at UPS browns and grays type of stuff. And I settled on a brown gray, something that sounded like work, like industry. And that is the color. So it's A8937D for the hex. Okay. And then what we're going to want to do at this point is set up some of the modifiers. So I have a mirror. let me turn off this X. And we're actually finally going to hit apply on the Y, but I want to add the X back right away. So mirror X, great. Now let's start editing the vehicle itself. I'm going to go into edit mode. I want to change up this window, so I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to pull it way forward for our truck. And 1 point, that's a bit much. Just 1 should be sufficient for what we need. And with that all pulled forward, let me go into object mode again, because I'm going to grab this, and I am going to pull this guy in line. 1 forward, and 1, actually we're going to do 1.1 forward-ish, and great. And now for the back, let's go ahead then, now we'll duplicate those towards the end. Alright, so for the back, we're going to do edit, and I'm going to click on line mode, and I need this line, and I'm holding shift now, and this line. And I'm going to go ahead and do mesh, delete, dissolve, edges. And now we get this weird face thing that's right here. And to separate that back out, that's fine. We're just going to go to mesh, clean up, and split faces. Boom. And now they're separated. Okay. Let's go ahead and make a cut. So to make this cut, let me click on vertex mode. I want to have a cut right here next to the tire. So to start us off, I'm going to click on this edge here and say edge subdivide. And now that should hopefully provide us with our starting vertice. Yep. And so now I'm going to click Z, and I'm going to grab our knife, click on that vertex, and directly across, click, and enter to cut it. And then again on the side, and enter to slice, and then finally on the bottom, enter to slice. Great. So with that all cut, let's go ahead and turn off the mirror. I need to get rid of a few faces within this. I'm going to use face select. I'm going to click here, here, and here, and I'm going to do mesh, delete, faces, and then these inner ones, like this one, I'm going to do mesh, delete, face. Okay, so now with that all ready to rock, we can, I'm going to click, let's do edge mode actually, and I already have all of these edges. I'm going to hit shift and select this edge, and this bottom one. With those selected all the way around, I am now going to push this. 1.1 is excellent. Okay, now with that done, I'm going to select this edge, holding shift, this edge, and still holding shift on the bottom, that edge, and I am going to pull it up. 1.5 is great. Now, in face mode, in select mode again, let's go into X-ray. I'm going to click on X and select everything behind that. Zoom out and push back. Yep, -5 is great. Okay, so -5 that is. And now, with that done, we can get out of X-ray mode. We can go back into edge mode, and I'm going to grab this edge. Again, I'm holding shift, and I'm going to use this, and I'm going to drag it forward to give us a little space between the cab and the rest of the truck. So 4.9 is great. All right, face mode. Oop, let's put our X mirror on so we can tell what we're doing. And select. Let's do an extrude and up. Now you want to make sure you have clipping on. Hopefully that didn't affect me. It did not, but you definitely do want it on. I'm going to do 3 for height. And now for the truck itself, I'm going to click here And instead of extruding, I'm just going to pull. And I'm going to pull up one, I'm thinking. Great. And great. So I'm actually going to add a bit of a color for just the back of the truck and maybe even a door. So let me go into select here. I'm going to select these edges here. And then I'm going to do face inset. Boom. And make sure to turn off boundary. I'm going to do a 0.1 is perfect. And then I'm going to do extrude along normals. And I'm going to do a 0.05 there. All right. And for the back door, I'm thinking I'll make it. I'm just going to make it a matte black, like my tire. Okay. And then for the rest of this, I'm going to go with a new color. Boop. And new, just something a bit different than the whole truck. Maybe a really light blue. And let me click here. See-through mode or X-ray mode. And I'm going to have to color the back of my truck again, but that's fine. And I'll just call this light. Assign that. Okay, let me zoom back out here. And like I said, I'm going to have to color this. I'm going to go off X-ray mode. I'm going to grab my door here. And now use that tire color again to have that. I thought about doing the plate color. All right. Now, there's just a few things left. Let's go ahead and do windows. So I'm going to click on the front window here. And I'm going to go ahead and do a face and an inset. Make sure boundary is off. I like doing a 0.1 for this window. We could risk with the larger frame. 0.15 it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a extrude along normals. And I'm going to go 0.05. And now I'm going to do another face and another inset and push. And for this side, I'll do 0.1. And now I'm going to do a 0.15 it is. And I'll push in 0.05. Now with that selected, I'm going to hold shift and select this front window. And let's add our, oh, I guess it's not here yet. Let me hit plus. It's from our mirror. So let's assign the window texture, assign. There we are. This is looking so awesome. Okay, let's go back now into object mode. A few finishing touches here. I'm going to click on the mirror. I'm holding shift and going to click on the door handle. And now I'm holding shift and going to click on the truck. And I'm going to do object and join. That way they pop up on the other side. I think I'm going to darken up the color of the truck a bit. Oh yeah, definitely something more like this. And this looks pretty shiny. Let's check out what's going on with hub. Let's do 0.1 for face. That will help us out. And perfect. We have a fancy truck. So if you're curious about rendering our fun little truck here, I'm going to go ahead and switch to transparent because I think it's better to render in. With that set, oop, let me turn that on. Oh, who turned out the lights? I got it. And let me re-enable our light and pull this guy way up here. And let's do a sun and, I don't know, 8. Specular, 0.8. I'm going to turn off shadow for now. That's looking good. And then our camera. Whoop, definitely not where we want it to be pointed. So let's do view sidebar, view, lock camera to view. Whoop, turn this around, back up. And that is our fun, awesome truck. Let's go ahead and render view. But I hope you have an awesome truck as well. I hope this was helpful. Make sure to hit like, make sure to hit subscribe. It definitely gives me warm fuzzies. If you're interested in these low poly cars, I have a bunch of them, so you should definitely check out my other tutorials. And if you have a question or want to share about what cool thing you made, you should definitely do so in the comments below. I'm going to start cloning and making a bunch of different trucks now.